Hey folks, welcome back to the JLAMBCAST MMA Show. I know, again, I'm a couple of days late on this, but had some exciting new developments in. I got a new logo made. If you haven't noticed, looks awesome. Couldn't be happier with it. My buddy Ronnie, who I've known for over 10 years, great guy. If you're on Twitch, I suggest go follow him. Dirty Durst on Twitch. Great guy. She did the person that he turned me on to is on Instagram, does Twitch as well, and her name is at Cadavs. Let me pull that up for you. So he turned me on to her. She designed his logo. She designed my new logo here. And I couldn't be more impressed. I think on Instagram it says Cadavz, CADAVZ. But if you look it up on Instagram, you got to put in the CADAVZ _. Check her out if you're looking for logos, man. She did a phenomenal job with mine. I'll pull it back up there because that looks nice. She did good with it. So shout out Cadavz. Wonderful job. Shout out to Ronnie too. Thanks for the info there. Appreciate it. And all right, let's get into today's show. We've got I guess the news of the week is that UFC 264 in July on July 10th in Vegas is going to be at full capacity. The main event, which is now fully official after some banter between the two main eventers. It's going to be the completion to the trilogy between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. A lot of drama led up to this, and Conor McGregor led us to believe that he was gonna pull out of this fight, and we weren't gonna complete the trilogy. If you've been caught in a bubble, if you don't know what's happened, so Conor McGregor sent out a video and talked about front kicking Dustin Poirier in the face, and that was gonna be how he ends the fight in, I want to say he said the 4th round. Okay? Nothing wrong. Fighters make predictions all the time, right? And they use it as a way to talk shit. So, Conor McGregor, being the greatest shit talker in the world, maybe he was trying to get some hype behind this fight. But the Diamond Poirier, Dustin Poirier, let me pull it up here because we got there we go. Okay. So I'm not going to look at the camera. I'm going to look over here so I can read this. The Diamond says there on the left, that's a fun prediction. You also predicted a donation to my foundation, and you and your team stopped responding after the fight in January. See you soon, July 10th, paid in full. So Dustin Poirier is a little unhappy that apparently Conor McGregor hasn't lived up to his word. Conor McGregor pledged $500,000 to charity. Let's go full circle back to January. Okay. So everything was cordial and respectful, and this new mature dad, Conor McGregor, very respectful against in January 2020 when he fought Cowboy. Very just huge compliments all around. And fast forward to January 2021, the press conference leading up to it. If you remember, you had Conor up there, you had Dustin Poirier, and then you had the co-main between Dan Hooker and Michael Chandler, all four of them, dads, family men now, and it was just a super respectful, not what you expect from a Conor McGregor press conference. No Monster energy drinks were flying. No dollies into a bus. I mean, it was just very low key, very chill. So at the weigh-ins, Dustin Poirier brought a bottle of his signature hot sauce to Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor gifted the proper number 12 back to Dustin Poirier. It was, it was sweet. It was at that time that he also pledged, for the Good Fight Foundation, which is Dustin Poirier's amazing foundation, amazing charity. They've done a lot of good work. I think that's one of the things that Dustin Poirier talks about all the time, and how he's most proud of that, and good for him to have a charity like that does good work. So it looks like, Poirier, put him on blast, and you don't see a lot of that right now. You don't see a lot of that coming from professional athletes. You don't see a lot of that coming from Hollywood or politics or anything like that. I mean, if somebody says it, is going to call somebody out, they never do it by name. They kind of do it by situation and leave the name out. Well, I had a bad experience with this person, and I'm not going to say the name, but I just had a really bad experience, and it really affected me. Things like that. Dustin Poirier is not doing that here. He is calling Conor McGregor out like full force. Like, here it is, and I'm calling you a piece of shit. Conor McGregor then responds, a donation, not a debt. We've been awaiting plans for the money that never came. I do with all my donations know where it is going dot for dot. Otherwise, it goes walking, as is the case with a lot of these foundations, sadly. You took the McG over the belt. Shows I was right. So McGregor's response, he did say he was going to donate. He said he was going to donate in front of everybody as fans. Anybody that watched it, everybody that is a fan knows, like, this is what he said, and he didn't live up to his word. His response, to me, it makes it look a little weak. Let's pull it back up there because I want to see the response for Dustin again. 100% never a debt. You offered, we accepted. And like I said, your team never responded to our emails regarding the process of where the funds would be put to work. July 10th, you will taste defeat yet again. Conor McGregor then goes on to reply to that tweet saying, my team does their due diligence to make sure every donation meets the mark. My generosity is known. You will pay with your brain for this attempt at smearing my name. Shooting ass, shelling ass, bitch. Little bitch kicks from a shell. Good luck when you're caught. You're fucked. There was a couple more tweets after that. Conor McGregor threatened, said the fight is off. I'll give it to somebody who's more grateful. I'm going to start finding the list of potential opponents now and go through it. But needless to say, I guess everything was ironed out. Fans will be in attendance at capacity, T-Mobile Arena, July 10th. That might have been what brought Conor back into the fold. Now, I don't really fault Dustin, the Diamond Poirier, for calling him out. If somebody pledged, that amount of money, That's a lot. $500,000 is a ton of money. I've never seen $500,000 before. So I can only imagine. Dustin the Diamond Porier, who's very proud of his charity and in the Good Fight Foundation, and only wants to see it grow and do more good things. I'm sure of that. So yeah, when somebody pledges and backs out, it puts a mark up against Dustin Poirier. Or I'm sure he takes it that way. I'm sure he would take it as a personal offense. So, needless to say, this fight has definitely gotten personal. So the hype train has absolutely started. I do hope that Conor McGregor does live up to his word and does donate to the Good Fight Foundation, because it is a good cause. And Conor, through all the drama that we've seen through him, he definitely doesn't need another black mark on his reputation. So I hope all of that behind the scenes can get worked out. But for drama's sake, I'm kind of glad we got to see a little taste of it. This is good. This is really good. So, all right. So last weekend, I got to watch the UFC on ABC between Kevin Holland, Marvin Vettori. Watched it in the parking lot, and I didn't get kicked out of the house or nothing. My wife didn't kick me out because I watched too much UFC. Don't worry about that. But no, my son had a water polo tournament over the weekend, and because of the COVID and how they operate the fans and stuff, you go in, you watch the match or watch the game, whatever they call it, match, game, whatever. You got to leave. Then you got to come back for the next one. So, go in, 30 to 45 minute game, go out 2 hours later is the next game. So, it gave me plenty of time because I wasn't going to drive 30 minutes back home, 30 minutes back. There was no point in that. So I put on the UFC on ABC, on ESPN Plus, on my phone, sat in the truck and watched it and paid a close eye. You know what? It was a really good card. It really was. And I know I hyped it up and I thought it would be a card. It lived up to expectations. On the flip side, let's talk about the main event between Marvin Vettori and Kevin Holland. If you don't know what happened, this is pretty much a good explanation about what happened. First round, Marvin Vettori did stand with Kevin Holland and got some good shots on Holland. It looked very promising for Vettori's confidence in the stand-up game, and I think with Kevin Holland landed some good shots on Vettori, backed him up a few times. So it really was a good, it had the makings of being a great main event right up front. But Marvin Vettori's fight IQ kicked in, I would say, towards the latter half of that round. He shot in, took Kevin Holland down, and punished him. And did a lot more punishment than Derek Brunson did just, 3 weeks ago. Or 3 weeks prior to that fight. So, Kevin Holland, absolutely, it's what we thought. If he was going to get taken down, he was going to get taken down multiple times. 3 weeks wasn't enough to correct those deficiencies that he had in wrestling defense and the wrestling get-up. Marvin Vettori, sure, not the wrestler that Derek Brunson is, but still has, wrestling is fully integrated into Marvin Vettori's fighting style. So kudos. It was a huge win for Marvin Vettori. And Derek Holland, does he lose much steam after this? I don't think so. I am fully hyping up Kevin Holland, as I've done for, this is now the third podcast that I've in the past month or a month and a half that I've hyped him up and talked about him, because he is something special. And I do think that his deficiencies in the wrestling game and what he has a problem with, I think with proper coaching and proper drilling, I think he can fix it. He joked after the fight and talked about, somebody, I guess, mentioned like, hey, are you about to fly to Dagestan now? And he said, I'm getting on a plane now. And if he does, good on him. Does he have to go to Dagestan? No, but I mean, he could go over to AKA, and go work with Daniel Cormier or there's plenty of good wrestling camps, MMA wrestling camps throughout the United States, and I think his coaching, I think his current coaching right now, they have great wrestling. But yeah, I do want to see him. Kevin Holland, as much as I love you, and I do, take a step back and go work on your wrestling. Like, really focus on that wrestling. 6, 7, 8 months. If we see Kevin Holland back at around November, December timeframe, I would be happy. Not that I don't mind if he were to come back in 30 days and fight somebody else. Hey, great. I'm a fan. I'm going to tune in. But for his legacy or his career, I really would like to see him take a step back for just a couple of months. I mean, he's had 7 fights in 18 months. He had the 5 wins in 2020. He's had 2 losses in 2021. He's been very, very active. You've got your name out there, kid. Like, let's take a step back and let's focus heavily on that wrestling. Your footwork, it's dialed in. Your movement, it's dialed in. Your strikes, are always dialed in. Your mouth, it's dialed in. We love big mouth. Get that wrestling taken care of. So, let's see. Also on the card, I mean, we what was another good fight? The Nina I'm sorry. I did this. I'm gonna apologize right now because I did this last week. I called her Nina Ansaroff, and I guess that's her maiden name now. Nina Nunes. I apologize, but Nina Nunes fought on the card. Give me just a second. I didn't have a stroke. I'm just trying to pull something up here so I can switch it over. All right. It did. It looked like I had a stroke. All right, we'll go back here. And so there we go. Nina Nunes versus Mackenzie Dern. And I think it even said Ansaroff last week, if I'm not mistaken. But if I'm not, if I was wrong, I'll admit it. But she lost in the first round to Mackenzie Dern. Nina, I still think, is a phenomenal fighter. And no doubt, will be still considered a top contender in the strawweight division. But I tell you, that first one coming back after you have a baby, that one's tough. That one's really tough. I know Mackenzie Dern had a tough one when she came back. I think she won hers, but I could be wrong on that one. But I remember it being a tough fight, and she talked about how what a struggle it was just to get back into fighting shape like that. So, Nina, I wish her well, and hope that she comes back, back and better than ever. Mackenzie Dern is a beast on the ground. We all knew that coming in. She is now tied for most submissions. And then we also had Sam Alley versus Julian Marquez. That ended. Julian Marquez pretty much dominated that entire affair. Sam Alvey did land some great shots, and it was a slugfest, and you can see they labeled it as the fight of the night. It was excitement from start to finish. I was definitely tuned in. I'm sorry that Smiling Sam Alvey did not get the victory on this one. This might be his final fight, because I think now it's his 5th loss in a row, and I might be because there was a no contest in there from Fight Island, but he's racked up a lot of losses and then a no contest. So that might be the last that we see of Sam Alvey, but I hope not. Maybe he'll get one more shot from the UFC. But if this is it for him, I wish him well. Whether he ends up at another promotion, or he hangs it up, it's been a pleasure to watch him, and I hope I can continue to watch him somewhere. It would be great. The featherweight bout between Arnold Allen and Sadiq Youssef, decision went to Arnold Allen. It was a unanimous decision. He was a slight underdog in this fight, but he had a very, very masterful performance. Hit Youssef with a ton of takedowns, just a ton of pressure, and got the victory out of that one. So, like I said, overall, that was a great fight. Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. Mike Perry, the victim of not having a game plan, not having a main head coach, not having a good team in place. Still a good fighter. My opinions from last week from outside of the cage, but Daniel Rodriguez got it done. He got the unanimous decision victory. So yeah. All right, so let's move over. Let's switch gears here, because we do have some fights going on this weekend. With Fight Night, with the fight that was meant to be but didn't come to fruition. It's finally happening this Saturday, April 17th. Former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum. You remember back at UFC 234, this match was booked after both of these guys were coaches on the Ultimate Fighter Heavy Hitters. Robert Whittaker, the morning of the fight, or I guess overnight, in between weigh-ins and the fight, developed something nasty in his intestines that required emergency surgery, and that fight fell apart. And ultimately, the current middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya, moved from the co-main event. He was facing Anderson the Spider Silva. That ended up being the main event. They kept it 3 rounds. But yeah, Kelvin Gastelum never got his shot at Robert Whittaker, and we're getting it now. And I think this fight here definitely has title implications. It really does. I think Whittaker's been on a tear, trying to get trying to get his title back. And Gastelum, he's had a rough go. Some rough fights. We'll go over to their fight card. So Kelvin Gastelum, I'm going to pull up his past fight. Here we go. He beat Ian Heinisch. He lost to Jack Hermanson. He lost to Darren Till. But this fight against Whittaker puts him right back in the title conversation. Absolutely. So, Robert Whittaker. Beat Jared Cannonier in October, and that's where we're at. So, yeah, I think I would say Whittaker is a little bit closer to the title, but Gastelum, a big win over Whittaker like this, certainly vaults him into conversations. I don't think that we'll wait to see anything else play out. I mean, with last week's result, Marvin Vettori, has he earned another crack at Israel Adesanya? Yes, I want to see that fight. If Whittaker comes in and dominates Gastelum and just puts on a masterful performance against Gastelum, we might have two really deserving 185ers, for Israel Adesanya to pick from, both of which he's beaten. So, I don't know. I would give the edge to Marvin Vettori to get the title shot over Robert Whittaker. Whittaker might have to wait. Whittaker might have to take one more fight after this. But I would give that slight edge to Marvin Vettori. His loss to Israel Adesanya was a split decision loss. It was only a 3-rounder. It wasn't a 5-round main event. I would love to see what a 5-round main event looks like between Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. So, other fights on the card: Jeremy Heathen Stevens versus Drakkar Klose. I think that one's going to be fireworks. Andre Arlovsky, the ever ageless Andre Pitbull Arlovsky versus Chase Sherman. Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Jacob Malkoun. Luis Pena versus Alexander Munoz. Luis Pena, I think last week we talked about Scott Hot Sauce Holzman, who ended up losing his fight. But, when we talk about great nicknames in the UFC, Luis Pena, Violent Bob Ross. Love it. Love that. Ricardo Ramos versus Bill Algeo. Those are a couple up-and-coming featherweights. So this is a solid card. Maybe not as big a names as the previous week, as last week's. But I'm very intrigued by this Whittaker Gastelum fight. It's great that we have it now, but kind of bummed that it's taken us, I think, 4 years to get this fight remade. So, yeah, super excited for that one. So, I don't know. Let's go back, and I think that's pretty much it. I mean, next week next week's show, I mean, we're going to talk about the fallout from this fight night, and we'll definitely be previewing what happens on April 24th, which is UFC 261, 3 title fights. Yeah, who's excited for that? Be previewing that card. Be breaking down those main events and giving my predictions. So, should be good. Trying to see if I have anything that I'm missing. Nope. I think we covered it. All right. Well, cool. Tune in this Saturday, April 17th, 9 p.m. Central Time, UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, UFC Apex, Las Vegas. Tune in. We'll see you next week. We'll preview UFC 261. We'll see you next time, folks.